Hello, hello. This is the second edition of our Climate Clock podcast, and we have a very special guest with us. Saher has joined us in the studio. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us,
you for
Saher.
having me here. It's a pleasure.
Well, before we have these conversations where we are trying to make these climate conversations realistic, more practical, something that everyone can relate to, and talk everything about sustainability, let me introduce you and about the great work that you've done. Saher Bhamla, who's been working towards the environment since the age of 15. She started with a beach cleanup, followed by many other events for the environment. She started engaging in more activities with the Bhamla Foundation, which is founded by her father, Mr. Saher Bhamla. She's also associated with the UNEP and has started a youth wing of the Bhamla Foundation, which is called One Earth Network. Here they are building a community of youth that participates and comes up with solutions towards a sustainable future, and have 15,000 young eco-champs and volunteers spread across India. That's a great feat. But what caught my eye is that you started working towards climate change, the fight against climate change, when you were 15.
Yes.
That's really young. What led to this? Was it something that you saw around? Was it taught to you in the school? Tell us more.
So I have been born and brought up in Mumbai, and you know that we Mumbaikars are extremely close to the ocean. We love the waves. It gives us, a special kind of joy and peace. And I was in Bandra, so Cart Road was just like 1 minute away from my house. I've spent my entire childhood going to the park, and then later on we started working out and walking and all of that. And when I was 15, that was when I selected environmental science as a subject in my school. So I started realizing that these are the issues that the planet is facing. It was a conversation that happened every day in my class, because we had one class every day of environment science. And then I would go to Cart Road and I would see this unsettling thing. Our mangroves were entangled in plastic. It was the worst thing I would see, and I hated it. I can't express how much of heartache I got seeing that, because our ecosystem is being treated like a junkyard. And it is us humans who did it. So the anger was there. I would come back home and I would think, what should I do? Then again the next day I would go for a walk, I would get angry, and I would come back home and think, what should I do? And then I was like, you know what, someone has to start it, and if I don't do it, who's going to do it? And it started off with a beach cleanup, because mangroves is the roots. Beach and mangrove cleanup, it is the root of the ocean. If that is not protected, then our city would have so many floods. And that's how the journey started. And let me tell you one thing, that decision at the age of 15 I made to do a beach cleanup is the most empowering thing I've ever done. It's the strongest thing I've ever done. If you ever tell me one thing that gives you happiness, tell me one thing that makes you feel empowered, it is that one decision. Because like I mentioned earlier, that I also had school. I had to meet my academic responsibilities as well.
Absolutely.
And there were two things. The focus was not only education now. The focus was to bring the change. And both took their time.
Okay, and more power to you. You
Thank
said
you.
as it empowers you. But tell us, what did you started with the beach cleanup with One Earth Network and Bhamla Foundation. What are some of the climate projects that you're working on? And did you get a pushback when you said, okay, I want to go ahead and clean mangroves? What was your initial experience like when you just decided one day, okay, I have to do this? Did people come to you and, support you in that cause?
Firstly, there were a lot of people, while I'm doing this, even now, they think, why am I doing this? Do I not have anything else to do? They don't realize it, that I love my country and I want to do this. So, but see, I didn't really have a lot of pushbacks. No one would stop you from doing something.
But did they support you? Did they come and join you?
Yes, I did get a lot of support.
Yeah. That's
From because like you mentioned that there are 13,000 volunteers that are there in the foundation. That is itself a lot of support for me, because when you're doing a beach cleanup, I used to think that it's just I'll do that was when I was 15. I'll
Yeah.
do 4-5 cleanups and it's going to be sorted.
Hmm.
It was just very immature at that time. You know, I didn't even know how to clean the beach. Now, if you clean the beach, there are so many technicalities. You're supposed to, when you're removing your trash, you're supposed to remove the sand. You're supposed to, you have to be very careful with the plants in the mangroves. You can't just, break them. It is our ecosystem. And we have 8.7 million species on our planet. We have to coexist with them. What we don't realize is, what we humans think is that this is only our planet. We have all the rights to it, but that is not the case. It is a planet for a lot more plants and animals that we don't realize. But coming back to your question, setbacks, my main setback is what I feel is I want to bring behavioral change amongst people. Doing a beach cleanup is there. I can get schools now. There are so many people who want to volunteer. And it used to be an issue when initially it started, but now people have started becoming aware. If I just put a post on Instagram, just one poster on Instagram with a form, there itself I have 200 registrations for my general cleanups.
That's a good change that you're seeing.
Yes, but behavioral change is something that is extremely important, because if we do not change our lifestyle, if we do not change our habits, then what is the point of all of
exactly
this?
So you speak about that change, and before I also talk to you about the other things other than beach cleanups that you've been involved in, you work with various people, different strata of the societies as well, be it the underprivileged side, be it people of the higher levels. Do you see a change in that behavior as well in different segments of the society, that one segment is more aware about it, the other doesn't care, or vice versa for that matter?
Okay, so see, the low income groups have their own challenges. They themselves are struggling to meet ends in a city like Bombay. But 80% of Bombay, I think, is slums. So that is our focus. So when it comes to the low income group of society, there's just a little bit more counseling that is needed. We have to understand them. One thing I've realized is that they do not have any waste management. And if you don't have waste management, all of it is going to end up in the ocean or in the landfill. And this issue needs to be addressed, because we need to be zero waste as a city. And as a country overall, I mean, it's a huge country, and Mumbai itself, Bombay, it's like 4 European countries. So it's not easy for even the authorized people to do a lot of things, but we as humans can do it for the betterment of the society. And what we do is, to put our message out there, to make the masses understand the issue, for them to realize the problem, we come up with these musical anthems. So because when you talk about environment, the first thing that comes to your mind is it's a lecture.
Yeah.
It's a class.
I get that
it's
a lot,
conference where there are old people sitting. Okay, sorry, not old people.
But yeah,
A
the
lot of
people who are talking
sitting,
about a scientific
writing
terms,
down a few things. There are various files, and we don't know what's happening after they have so many plans that is there. And we all know what has to be done. The question is, who's going to come and do it? So we all know what has to be done, but the question is that who's going to come and do it? And so we started curating these musical anthems on various themes. The United Nations Environment Program comes up with a theme around the World Environment Day every year, and we work on it throughout the year. So like this year it was Beat Plastic Pollution. Last year it was Only One Earth. Before that it was Ecosystem Restoration. And before that it was air pollution, and again before that 5 years back it was plastic pollution, when India was a global host. So you see, plastic is a huge issue. That's why even the UN came up with the theme again in 5 years, because that one piece of straw that we use for, I don't know, 10 minutes remains in the environment for 500 years. It turns into microplastics. It is in the ocean. Fishes and sea animals think it's food. They end up eating it, and then we eat those fishes, and the plastic ends up in our blood.
Yeah.
So
That's a problem. That's like it's coming back to you. Basically,
Yes.
what you're throwing in the ocean is coming
It's
back
karma.
to you. It's karma, right? So, as you said, behavioral change is the first step. Waste management is the first step. So,
But
yeah, please go ahead.
Then I started to realize that everyone is not going to listen to me. If my target audience
Yeah.
was the masses, it was not only the classes, and I'm not an influencer. I'm
Yeah.
just doing my bit, And tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, they really enjoy song and dance, and they really enjoy watching our actors. They idealize them, a lot of
Right.
them, because if a Sachin Tendulkar says something,
Yeah.
they tend to follow it. Kapil Sharma went plastic free on his show, and he had just tweeted about it. We had propagated that because we are known to so many of them. He went plastic free, and he just put out a tweet that I'm going plastic free. I urge all my fans also to start making conscious changes. And they would start talking about it. Then we would get emails on tweets, on Twitter. Social media is so empowering at times. It really does connect us to the world. So the people would send us messages and emails that if couple is doing this, even I've removed plastic from my house.
Oh,
I
okay.
swear it has happened. So I don't know, the impact these actors have, the influence they have over people is massive. They are influencers influencing in a positive way now.
Yeah.
So that's how Alia Bhatt, Bhumi, all of them are a part of the campaigns.
Okay, that's amazing, and hopefully the positive message is going across, and that's what really matters at the end of the day,
absolutely.
right? So, you said you work with Bhamla Foundation since the age you were 15, and
Yes.
you have stepped up there and also started a separate baby company, or I would say a
Yes.
separate outfit of that. That's called
It's
One
the
Earth
youth
Network.
wing.
It's the youth wing, the
Yes.
One Earth Network.
Yes.
What I would say asked you, or what empowered you to do that separately? What are some of the learnings that you had from your father, because he's been doing that for a long time?
Yes. So I've always wanted to build something for myself. I never wanted to be answerable to anyone about the things I want to do in life. And it's not that I'm still working in the foundation as well. But, and we have 13,000 young people working, not only in Bombay. It is across India. It's a pan-India foundation. We have a base in Rajasthan. We have a chapter in Kashmir where I led the Dal Lake cleanup for 1 week. Then we have a section in Delhi. So there are so many places. Kerala is something that we are really keen on working on. So why not just give them I wanted to give them an identity that One Earth Network is something you're a part of, and I wanted these young people. I mean, they wanted to do it. I didn't want to do it. It was just a lot of conversations that we had, and then we came up that let's do like a One Earth Network where young people go out there, see the problem that is happening, find the solutions, and then we implement it together, because the foundation does have the resources to fix a few issues that is there.
Okay, so One Earth Network is a separate organization, I would say, which is focusing on, environment cleanups, or I would say beach cleanups, or maybe generally fight against climate change. As you said, it's the youth wing of Bhamla
Yes.
Foundation. People usually don't listen to youngsters, right? The aajkal ki generation. So there would have been some challenges for sure that you yourself faced as a young activist, I would say, against climate change. Tell us something about that. And also I wanted to understand what is the message that you would like to give to your peers, to the young generation when it comes to this fight against climate change?
When I keep on talking about a sustainable lifestyle, a zero waste lifestyle, because it is very important. Otherwise we all will be drowning in garbage if we don't shift our lifestyle into better options. So but a lot of people I've realized, when I'm talking to our volunteers, when I'm talking to, sometimes we end up meeting their parents and we make conversation, because even I'm trying to understand what people think about climate change, so I can work in that direction that would help everyone. So what they think is climate change and doing things for, being environmentally friendly is extreme. It's either left or it's right. So the ones who are very very conscious are extremely conscious, which is
Yeah.
amazing. I loathe that.
Yeah.
It's something I want to do. But the ones who are not conscious think that, it is not possible. They think it's very tough. They think that changing your attitude might not. I don't know. There is something going on in their head about
Climate change कुछ नहीं
pollution.
होता है.
Yes, not and they just fear कि हम कैसे करेंगे, because plastic and disposables are available to us in such an easy manner that they just end up buying it. And now people have started living a life of convenience. Earlier, if you see 50 years back, that was not the scenario. Our grandparents, not 50 years also. Now if you talk about 20 years, our homes had mudkas. We never had a plastic bottle ever. Did you ever have a plastic bottle?
Not really. Yeah, I still don't use one.
Yeah, I
but
mean,
yeah,
we
yeah.
don't, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying, we used to shop local.
Yeah.
The everything that comes in a packaging
Yeah.
does have an impact on the environment. And when we have the option to shop local, still I don't know why people it's like I mentioned, behavioral change, starting to realize, starting to coexist with our planet is something that people should come to terms with.
Yeah, and that is a message that everyone because I think, as you said, it's convenience at the end of the day, which everyone's
it's very
looking at, right?
convenient.
Okay, you can quickly get a water bottle, let's not carry one. You can quickly just get packaged food, let's not get something from the
Listen,
local
I've
vendor.
gone to houses where they have disposable plates.
Yeah.
They're using it on daily basis. They don't have a steel they don't have your normal
reusable plate,
Yeah.
yeah.
They have these disposable plates. They eat once and then they throw it. If I just went to see the kachra in the dustbin, it was massive. Look, and food wastage is also the second biggest reason for global warming. And even I, sometimes I tend to waste food, which is not right. Our fridges are filled with so much of food. We stack things for 1 month.
Yeah.
And earlier, it used to be only for 2-3 days. It was never for months. Half of it gets expired and thrown away.
That's true. After 1 month, and we're like, oh, we can't use it anymore. That happens very often.
I know. It's in my own house. My uncle, my dad's brother, buys four bottles of ketchup. I don't know why he's doing that. I don't know. Is he having ketchup juice? I'm sorry. But it's like a question I have. I go to his house and I'm seeing, what's this? He stacked rice for 3 months in one go. That's not right.
Okay. So when you said there are extreme opinions as well, do you believe in the activist side where people are going ahead throwing oil on paintings to prove a point?
Absolutely not. I feel it is, I understand it is anger, but if you're angry, you must go and do something for the environment. You're not supposed to. They use shock as a way of, getting the message out there, but this is not right. I do not support it. And how does it make a difference? You tell me, spilling oil on a painting, did it actually do anything for climate change? You tell me. The person just came in news for the next 2 weeks, and it just spoils their future also. I do not understand. If you really love this earth, you must do something for it. By spilling oil on a painting, you're doing absolutely nothing, and it is very, very wrong.
Okay.
Negative activism will not take you anywhere. Yeah, I think the most powerful tool that one must use is, you asked me that, do you face any challenges?
Yeah.
And coming to this, the most powerful tool that anyone can use is love. And when you want people to listen to you, you have to give them love. I can't give them anything else, but the least I can give is love. And this is only hate what they're doing.
So be in the system to, I would say, go ahead with the system and change the behavioral aspect that you're talking about.
Absolutely, yes.
I do take that point, and that makes things easier for the society to come together and do this.
It
fight
divides
against-
the population. This is extreme. I don't understand. I was very, very upset when I keep on seeing all this. It happens very often now because it gets covered on social media, and it gets and it just gets popular. But in terms of change, there's no change that has happened.
but we are glad the change that you are bringing about, right? So when I was asking you, apart from beach cleanups, you've gone from Mumbai to Kashmir as well, the Dal Lake
Yes, I
cleanup.
love Kashmir, so I had to do something over
So
there.
what's next on your to-do list now? Is there something different that you're planning?
Yes.
And what are the other aspects that you want to cover or have covered?
Okay, so we do have a lot of plans. Normally, we make a plan in December only for the next year that is happening. So, building green spaces in the city, starting from the city, is something I'm very keen on because we have so much of pollution, air pollution, plastic pollution. We are breathing the worst air possible. It is so toxic that, and it is not even an option to breathe better air, you know. So green spaces is something I'm extremely keen on. We've already started working with a lot of schools and colleges on this because they have their parks and they have their they have their grounds, right? That's where we can build like an urban forest. And the good thing is the students start getting involved because once I build it, then we obviously keep a check on it, but we request the students, the ones who study biology and sciences basically, to understand it and to do the needful
So
for the
in
forest.
yeah.
And then we also have a campaign called EcoBiz that is involving the entire business community because, like you know, like you mentioned, we work with a lot of people who have an influence. So you know, people from the field of education, people from, the pioneers, from construction, the amount of waste that construction is doing, and you know, all of it is thrown in a mangroves. The amount of debris that's there, it's horrible because of, and right now our city is literally under construction. So the pioneers from the field of construction, education, even medical, all of them come together. There is a plan of action that they themselves give it to us. It's not that the business does not want to work for the environment. With whatever my experiences, they all have been very pro change. And if you see now, there is a 360-degree turn. It used to be companies that used to pollute the most earlier, but now it is us individuals who are doing it more than them.
Wow.
I mean, they still do it, it's not
But
that they're not doing it, but we individuals have crossed everything.
that is not a good statistic to talk about, but of course we can work on it. So as you pointed out that, you know, you are planning things across the city in terms of green spaces. Space is a problem in Mumbai. We all know that.
Yes.
So in that case, apart from Mumbai, whatever plans you have in place, have you had conversations with the government, something that you would want to tell them? Because come December, what we saw last year, the problem with that crazy smog, that shouldn't be happening. Any word with the BMC or the government, generally policymakers?
All our campaigns, most of them is with the MCGM, with the BMC, a lot of them is with the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and they always do support good work. And it is not only mine. If you see any other person who's bringing a change, you know, there are so many youngsters who are doing beach cleanups, there are so many people who are doing their bit, and it's never that, you know, the BMC or local authorities have not supported. It might be a little slow, it might, I've not felt it, but on behalf of others, but it is never ignored. It is never ignored. And you know, like for example, I used to always have this question that, you know, I'm cleaning the beach, the waste is going in the landfill after it's been cleaned. So I wanted to change that. I see, landfill is better than the ocean because the waste in the ocean is killer. Your sea animals eat it and they end up dying on the spot. It is killer, it is toxic, it is the worst thing possible. You have to get the waste out of the ocean. That is clear because, you know, the sea animals end up eating, like I mentioned, and plastic is there in our blood, in the air we breathe, every single place. So for a very long time, the waste was collected from the beach and it used to go on the landfill. The BMC would collect it. There is a segregation that they have in the outskirts, but not everything is segregated. And even when it comes to plastic segregation, only the recycled plastic can be recycled. There are different types of plastics. I recently only saw somewhere that your chocolate wrappers are not recycled. Those toffees we eat, right? That is not recycled. But food choices is not something we can. I can't comment on. But what we can do is buy those bigger slabs of chocolates. I just saw it recently while 2-3 days back. Coming back to my
We were just talking about how BMC.
yes. So I wanted to. Now it is there in the landfill. It is not harmful to any living thing.
Being,
But there has to be an end to it. So I wanted to start a recycling plant. We've started it, luckily. So it required a lot of help from these policy makers, from the government. It is not an easy thing. So when we started it, everyone really did support us. It became a lot more easier because we had them on board with us. You have to work hand in hand with everyone. A lot of people, like you mentioned, you asked me that what is the challenge in your activism that you face. The thing is that individuals, citizens think that it is not our job. We are paying taxes. It is the government's job to clean it. But this is not, climate does not work like that. Environment does not work like that. It can, even if the government alone does it, it needs the involvement of citizens. It needs the involvement of corporates. If we all come together, it is a collaborative effort that has to be made. You can't be like I am paying taxes and it is done. Where all sorts of waste is being recycled, from your dry waste, wet waste, e-waste, and it is my focus for I don't know the next how many years, but I do wish to segregate all the waste. Segregation is the most important part of recycling. If your waste is not segregated, you cannot recycle it. And it is the most tedious part because it requires a lot of manpower as well. And there is where I also like to generate employment. There's so many rag pickers who are into wrong things, because they also have their own struggles in life. So giving them an employment was something that made me also feel very happy about that. I'm helping someone in a way he has a job. So segregation takes hours and hours. We have so much of waste coming from various buildings of Bandra, then from the cleanups that we do regularly.
So you've basically recycled or collected at least 15 tons of waste is what I read.
Yes, I'm guessing it's a little bit more now.
Oh my god.
That was not updated.
But that would be over how many years, just an approximate time frame?
It's been about 8 to 10 years.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
And that is just a particular locality that we are talking about. So maybe
Bandra.
over the city, it would be crazy. Before
Bandra itself, it's so challenging.
Exactly.
Like I told you, our city is so big that Bandra only is so challenging. But we do work a lot in the rural areas of Maharashtra as well, in the outskirts. And there's a lot that is happening. The other thing that is my focus is, this was a campaign, this was an initiative, not campaign, done by my father, but I take great inspiration from him in this thing because he saw the vision of converting waste into energy a few years back. And if you see at Pali Hill, we have a biogas plant. So all the waste of Pali Hill, whichever is collected, goes to that plant, and waste is converted into energy. And the street lights, which earlier I think the bill used to come for 10-12 lakhs a year at Pali Hill only, now it is free of cost because the street lights are generated from that.
Oh, that's amazing. More power, more energy to whatever you're doing.
So there's like a second plant where we're still in the plan. It's still in the plan at Navi Mumbai.
But I have to ask you before I let you go, because this has been such an interesting conversation. You've been working, you said, on this project or in this field for last many, many years, since you were 15. Any one incident that maybe shocked you or maybe surprised you, any conversation with someone when you were on your cleanup drives, something that you learned something from, or you would like people to know that, okay, this is not something that should be done? Either ways, something that is in your mind.
See, there are many incidents.
Yeah.
There are many, many incidents. If you ask of one, it just gets a little tough. But what I like to see is, there is a very old lady. I think she's 70. She does not come regularly, but she makes it a point that at least once in 2 months she's coming for a cleanup. And when I see her having a blast doing the cleanup, I don't know, it's just something inspirational. I like seeing her every now and then. And there are these young students who come up with their own ideas, and they come and they speak to us. That's when I enjoy it, because I feel they're being involved in it. Or someone who's, so the main reason for the beach cleanups, now earlier when I was 15, it was for my own sheer anger that I'm going to clean it. But now the reason why we involve these students is because we want them to see the problem. When you see the issue, you start to realize that look what have we done. If I wouldn't have had seen, if I didn't go for my walks at Carter Road, I wouldn't have had seen it, and maybe I would have had never started doing it. So when you see it, you automatically get a heartache. If any normal person who has a heart will feel bad. I'm telling you, because it's very bad. The sight is very bad. It's still bad because the ocean keeps on throwing on the waste,
and we get that when it rains. It's we get it back.
Very, very bad. If you see, our Prime Minister himself cleans the beach with his own hands. It is a subtle message that he wanted to put across, that if I am cleaning it, then even if me being the Prime Minister, I'm going for a beach cleanup, he could have had gotten so many people to clean it, and he would be standing there. That could have had been done. And that's how other countries have been doing, like if the prime ministers want to show a message on climate change. But he chose to do it with his own hands. And even he speaks about environment from the Red Fort. It is not a topic that the prime minister normally used to talk about. If you see in the past, or even if you see other prime ministers, not from the Red Fort, they don't talk about environment, they don't talk about toilets. But it is that we can see that even he loves it.
It's a mainstream conversation
Yes.
now, and that's what the idea is, that we
Yes.
want to make this conversation a daily conversation,
A dinner table
a dinner table
conversation.
conversation, so that we relate with it and we try and understand how our daily habits are impacting the environment.
Yes.
Just that you said, so many ketchup bottles or using disposables at your homes.
When you're going, if you see, when you go to McDonald's, this is not in America. I recently went, I saw in America you fill, there was like a, I don't know, there was like some machine where you remove the ketchup from. But if you go here, even at a McDonald's, they're giving you sachets.
Yeah.
There's salt sachet, there is sugar sachet, there is just so much of packaging that's in and around your daily life. If you go to a hotel now, and people never carry their shampoos, they never carry, people who I know, people from my own family at times do this, like not from my immediate family, but when you go to a hotel, there we end up using toothbrushes, shampoos. Look at the amount of packaging. The comb comes in packaging, and I think in one day we must be using 2-3 of them. So imagine the waste we are generating as humans. And it is not difficult to carry your own stuff to wherever you're traveling, but it is the laziness and convenience.
So we are doing a lot of things at the back of convenience, and also because a lot of them are unaware of the impact, I would say, of their daily habits or daily consumption patterns. So with this conversation, I hope we've been able to at least start a debate on what is right and what is not right when we do our daily activities in terms of consumption as well. Seher, it was a pleasure having you with us. It was such a candid conversation.
Yes. I just request, like you mentioned, make a checklist.
Yeah.
Remove 3 things from your daily life. The top 3 things is your coffee mug. When you go to, I'm sure, I mean, in Bombay, a lot of people go to cafes. Carry your own mug. So that's where you don't, you
use your own
you
mug.
avoid you avoid that disposable mug, and it is something a lot of people consume. So carry your own coffee mug, carry a water bottle. I really liked it that you gave me water, and first I feel scared to ask for water. There are times, because what if they get it for me in a plastic bottle, and then you got it in a glass. I was like, thank God. So carry your own water bottle, and your bottle, and at home make like a checklist. that this things is not important, and I can do without it, and go ahead with doing that.
Mindful consumption is what we need to focus on as
Yeah.
well. I have to give you a high five for this amazing conversation that we had, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
We'll
you
keep
for
having more
having.
conversations on this podcast, and that's the idea. But for now, we'll take your leave. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, with that, we'll take your leave. But stay tuned. We have more such interesting conversations lined up on Climate Clock podcast.